Hi, everybody. Welcome to Attack with Larry C. I'm your host, Larry Christensen. Please pardon the raspy voice this week. I'm having a little cold, maybe a little more than a little cold, but spring fever is here. But anyway, the show must go on, and the following remarkable game. We're going to take a break in our model game series because I was entranced by this game played in a little noted game, I might add. I haven't seen this game commented on anywhere. Played in the famous French tournament, annual French tournament, Capelle Francais. And this was between Bosum Amin White, Grandmaster Amin White, and the Cuban Grandmaster Ronaldo Vera Black. And this features just an amazing king dance by Mr. Amin, and just how he navigated the narrows quite expertly. And this game showed imagination and creativity on both sides, and plenty of energy. Not a perfect game, but the amazing king dance is really the main thing I'd like to emphasize in this encounter. So here we go. This is from the recently finished Capella Grande tournament, and please pardon my raspy voice this week. I promise it will get back to 100% next week. Okay, we start off with the Fischer variation of the Najdorf. And Senor Vera plays Bishop E7. That's considered slightly third choice behind B5 and Knight BD7 because it allows this aggressive spike attack from Mr. Amin, popular these days. And black now castles, and here Amin employs a little finesse. Instead of playing G5, Knight FD7, and then Bishop E3, that allows black to play Knight C5. It gives him options he does not have in the game continuation. So with Bishop E3, now black develops normally. So here we are in a real Sozin. Big difference here from the some of the mainline Sozins is the white queen is able to access H5 very, very quickly. White puts the rook behind the G pawn. And here white plays Queen H5. This is very formidable square for the queen. And it can now here, for instance, black has to be careful about possible sacrifices. Bishop takes G7 and Queen H6 check type sacks, together with Rook G3 ideas to come down on H7. So black's defense must be quite precise. He takes best. He kicks best. A inconsequential move like Queen C7 is destroyed by Rook G3. Then if E5, we have Knight D5 forcing the queen back. Black's game is dissolving before our eyes. So black first plays G6. Now that looks very weakening of the dark squares, but it does later set up a defense based on F6. Okay, so he attacks, threatening mate. He must give chase. And now black plays Bishop E6. Here Amin continues in a very aggressive style with F4, menacing F5. That's a huge threat now. Let's say Rook C8, which succumbed to F5, GF, G6. FG, Rook takes, HG, Queen takes, G6 check, King H8, Queen H6 check, King G8, takes on E6. He feasts on that, and now he'll bring his king to safety and bring the reserves up. Black's in big trouble. So he took, and here's the point of white's F4 thrust is now he aims a dagger at G7. Black must play F6, and now he maneuvers the knight to the ideal attacking square F4. Black's position looks critical. He tries Queen C8. His alternatives are not too bright here. Queen C7 was another possibility when I would suggest white consider castles. bishop takes b3, and then bishop c3 is a nice defensive move and attacking move. White's going to follow up with knight takes f4. Black's in deep trouble. So he tried queen c8. And now, should have castled here. And then a bishop takes b3, as I mentioned in the queen c7 note. Bishop c3 with a huge attack looming, followed by knight takes f4. But he played a little bit fast and loose with his king d2. And this looks very strong, but Black has an amazing defense now. Now he plays, Vera finds the only defense, rook f7. Preparing bishop f8. White now has to go full forward for the attack. G takes f6, bishop takes f6, and now here he goes, rook takes g6 check. HG, queen takes g6 check. He must play bishop g7, so this took some guts to play this. He's a rook down. King's a little exposed. Now he brings up the reserves, putting up pressure against g7. Of course, bishop takes g7 will be a monster threat. Black meets the threat. And now here comes the knight. And so here Black is on the edge of defeat. He finds a good antidote here. Only move. Rook takes f4. Bishop takes g7. Now, if Black had played rook g4, that would lose to rook takes, bishop f6 check, king f8, queen h6 check, king, doesn't matter really where, king, let's say put it on g8, queen h8 check, king f7, queen g7 check, and Black's either going to lose his queen or get mated. Bleak choice. But he found a fantastic defense here. Bishop f5. Attacking the queen. Now if White plays queen g5 here, then Black can get away with rook g4. Rook takes g4, bishop takes g4. And here White has nothing better than a perpetual check in this variation. It wins with the queen on g6, but the queen on g5, there's no win. Now White plays bishop f6 check here. Black has it doesn't play king f8 or king f7. Those lose. He plays king h7. And White has nothing better than to make a draw with queen h4 check, king g6, queen g5 check, king h7. So, Amin played e takes f5, queen takes f5, and he boldly goes for the win with queen takes d6. And this is a critical position. And I'm sure probably both players, I suspect at least one of the players was in some time pressure here. And this is in this critical moment, Black should have played rook f1. Now, if White plays rook g2, for instance, then he can just play rook f2 check, trading off rooks and winning. White's best move is to take. Queen takes f1 and then move the queen somewhere, let's say queen g3. And if rook d8 check, White answers check with check, and the position's roughly balanced. This would be a fair and safe assessment. King f7, maybe c3, rook e8, and a bunch of checks will transpire, but most likely this will end up in a draw. But instead, Mr. Vera played rook f2 check, which looks great at first sight. And I'm sure this was pretty deeply calculated. And this is one of these cases where this is a case of bad luck. It really is, because White's amazing win is a line very, very few players, I can't, except beyond a computer could have assessed this position here as being better for white or winning. Okay, so Amin now plays king e1, and here we go, rook f1 check. That's to divert the rook. That's the big idea now. And so if, of course, if rook e8 check, white answers with check, game over. Mate will ensue virtually instantly. So that's the idea behind rook f1 check, is to divert the rook. Okay, rook takes, and now he plays rook e8 check. Okay, it looks like, well, white's going to have to give up his own rook. King d2, queen takes f1. And black's doing quite well here. Maybe he stands to win. But, amazingly, white, this is an amazing move. He plays bishop e5. That's a real shocker. It looks hard to believe. How could this work? That's why I went through this game. I could not believe it. It looks like a misprint. Rook takes e5, check, king d2. So the first point is, of course, if he takes this rook, white takes this rook. But here black has two obvious replies that look very promising that white had to, Mr. Amin had to calculate. The game continuation, which is rook d5 check, and what about queen g5 check? Well, if he plays queen g5 check, white runs away from the danger with king c3, rook e3 check, and he goes toward the rook. King d4, and now if black tries to attack from the eighth rank, threatening queen rook d8, white consolidates with queen g3 and wins, trading queens. So he played the much more dangerous looking rook d5 check. And white has only one move here if he wants to win. And that is king e3. Now, if he plays king c3, black wins with queen c8 check. A decisive retreat and followed by rook takes queen. So king e3 is forced. And again, if queen g5 check, white has queen f4, saving himself. If queen h3 check, he plays queen g3 check. It all works like clockwork here for black. So what did he do? He played again rook e5 check. That looks good. Okay, except for white's reply, he brings the king up to d4. And amazingly, with this loose rook, that, endangered king, white is on this side of winning. A truly remarkable position, in my opinion. Now, if rook e4 check, white plays king c3. And again, as we've seen before, queen h3 check is met by queen g3 check and wins. So he played rook queen e4 check and forcing king c3. Queen e3 check for best. Forced. If white played king b4, that would toss away the win because of rook b5 check. And if king a4, which looks like a safe spot for the king, black wins incredibly with queen e8. Let's let that position sink in. Ouch. The only move in that case would be king a3. No other checks. All checks will be met by checks. And if king a3, black wins with rook a5 check, king b4, queen b5 check, king c3, queen takes f1. And now if he picks off the rook, let's say this way, oops, there's a little check. All working like clockwork for black. So here, and also if he plays king b4, rook b5 check, if he plays king a3, of course, we have a perpetual. So Amin found that, calculated this obviously, and played queen d3, and this wins. Black tried queen rook c5 check, king b4 check, king a4. Now queen e8 loses to queen c4 check, and black is hopelessly lost. He can, if he goes king g7, for instance, white can play queen c3 check, covering this important square. King somewhere, let's say h7, and then he can play king a3 and consolidate. So that's had to be calculated. Now black had to settle for this probably lost endgame. Lost mainly because his king is cut off from the king-queen side. And he makes a game of it. He puts his rook on the optimal square. We don't go into endgames too much. I should have handed this one off to Yermo here. But white's king got that nice king position. He dissolves one of his weak doubled pawns to make progress. And now he aims to work against this pawn. Okay, so he wants to play this check. White takes. It's still difficult for white, but in the end, now he brings the king over to escort this guy, which is not so easy to do. He needs to do a little finagling. He needs to play a check, and h4 is what he's looking for. Not quite in position to do it yet. He wastes time. But black is, if he plays rook h3, then king g5, he'll surely get in h4. If he gets in h4, it's over. So he had to play king c4. Now he goes rook d2, another good waiting move. He goes king b3, and now we get zugzwang. The poor black king, he can't, if he goes here, of course, b4 check wins. He can't really move the rook. Again, rook h3, king g5 wins. So the game concluded rook g8 check, king h7, rook g4, still striving to stop rook pawn h4, king h, and now it's all over, and he could resign here. Brings the king back, and now he's ready to escort this guy up the board, and here with king g4 followed by a push, and here black resign. Remarkable game, and a good, this is a game that I noticed nobody else has noticed, and I just thought this was a remarkable attacking game, and I was happy to include this on the show. So hopefully my voice will be a little better. I hope that didn't sound too much like a buzzsaw today, but I'm sure I'll take my honey and tea and get better. Okay, everybody, thanks for joining me, and I invite you to join me for further investigations into fine attacking play.